This is the moment a responding officer arrives to the grisly aftermath of a cliffside attack and sees Arielle Konig appearing to struggle to walk. Two nurses hiking that.
Look at that, bro. Look at that.
They help her. Police body cam video playing out in front of the jury for the first time. Prosecutors say it's another key piece of evidence supporting their case that a Maui doctor tried to kill his wife. The video shows Arielle being treated, her head bandaged. Prosecutors say Dr. Gerhard Konig tried to push his wife off a cliff before striking her several times with a rock as she fought for her life. Arielle taking the stand yesterday.
And we have this moment of like, he seems like he takes a deep breath, and then he just starts hitting my face and my head with a rock.
But the defense argues she started the scuffle, the volatile end to a faltering marriage, what they describe as a months-long inappropriate relationship with a colleague.
She came after him, started kicking, punching, they end up on the ground. The evidence will show Arielle Konig says many untrue things about what happened. And she did so, you will see, to get the upper hand in the coming divorce and custody case.
An eyewitness recounting the attack.
When you first got there, did you see the man doing anything?
Yes, he was hitting her with a rock.
Legal experts believe the eyewitness testimony in this case could be damning. But in a trial that could go on for weeks, a source close to the case believes Dr. Konig could take the stand as early as next week. Tom?
Okay, now, let me show you this. So this is another kind of recap of the whole story, includes some recent trial footage, and then we'll watch longer trial footage.
Just starts hitting my face and my head with a rock.
From paradise to peril, prosecutors saying one couple's Hawaiian hike took a shocking turn to attempted murder.
He grabbed me really forcefully by my upper arms, and he said, "I'm so sick of this. Get back over there." And he starts pushing me back towards the cliff.
Now Arielle Konig is telling her story of what happened that fateful day. Police body cam footage shown in court, revealing the aftermath of the gruesome incident.
Arielle Konig takes the stand. You could hear a pin drop.
The whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do. In my mind, he's trying to knock me unconscious to get to be able to drag me over the edge. So I just was screaming then, as much as I could.
The chilling story from Hawaii, a prominent doctor now charged with the attempted murder of his wife.
46-year-old anesthesiologist Gerhard Konig is in custody this morning.
Gerhard Konig and wife Arielle set off on a hike in March of 2025 on Oahu, Hawaii, to celebrate her 36th birthday. Arielle testifying in court that her husband had an ulterior motive.
I was saying something like, "Please help. He's trying to kill me."
According to the prosecution, this hike was all a ruse to get Arielle alone for what they describe as attempted murder.
Now Gerhard is charged with second-degree attempted murder. His trial grabbing headlines.
From the very beginning, this case has been twist after turn where two people are pointing the finger at each other.
If you look at the pictures of them together, they look like a picture-perfect couple.
According to court filings and testimony, Arielle and Gerhard had only been on the Palipuka hiking trail a few minutes when he suggested taking a selfie near a steep edge.
Okay, I just want to add some context. Chaz says, Braid, have you heard about the alpine divorce or hiking divorce where the guy intentionally leaves his partner in the deep woods or mountains on purpose? I mean, what a way to murder someone, right? I have heard this. I've heard this. I will say, just for context, apparently she was having an emotional affair with a colleague for a few months before he found out, right? But I want you to note something in a difference. They say men have affairs with no intention of leaving their wives, and women have affairs when marriages are over, right? So my theory is they were in an abusive, toxic relationship. They were already on the rocks. She had already mentally exited. And yes, she should have filed the paperwork. And yes, she should have left. All of that stuff. And she started talking and probably getting some sort of emotional comfort from a coworker. Mind you, emotional. Okay? I don't know how involved it was. I'm not trying to justify it. I'm trying to explain. And before she could attempt to leave her marriage, they decided to reconcile it and go to counseling. So now they're in counseling, okay? It's not working. They go on this hike. He attempts to kill her. I always say cheating is abuse, right? Cheating is abuse. When I say cheating is abuse, it's a circumstance in which the cheater is manipulating, hiding, deceiving, lying, threatening the life of their current partner. In a situation where even if your relationship is on the rocks, you don't then betray the person you're working on things with to go to another person, okay? These are different things, okay? In a situation where you feel trapped in a marriage, you feel at a loss, you maybe you're even single and the married person you're talking to is like comforting you in ways you've never been. You will be tempted because of how bad you feel to seek comfort in an inappropriate person. Do not do this. It is unethical. It's not good for you, and you deserve better. This does not excuse him deliberately planning to murder his wife by pushing her off a cliff. Okay? She is not abusing him at this point of the marriage. She and him are in a toxic marriage in which she is being abused. So she's seeking some sort of, usually when men, okay, this is a generalization, I understand this. Generally when men talk about abuse in a marriage, they're like, my wife won't put out every time I want her to have sex with me. It's an entitlement. Versus, I'm in a healthy marriage, everything is going great, we're on the rocks, like things aren't, we're in a healthy marriage, everything is going great, and we're not having sex. But instead of complaining to your boys, you should be like, hey, are you okay? Are you good, bro? I love you. Why aren't we having sex? You know, the problem is that there is a nuance to this circumstance. Yes, cheating is abuse. And there are circumstances in which technically cheating occurs and it's a reaction to the abuse. So there is a difference. Like, you have to know the difference. I don't know the difference yet, but it sounds like, if I'm not mistaken, because hear me out, girls. If you are cheated on, do you then murder your spouse? If you are not the abuser? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you... So you cheated on me, so I'm going to create this deliberate murder scheme. You know what I'm saying? So there is the difference. That's the part that we have to take into consideration. And keep in mind, they went to counseling after the emotional affair. And then he did this. So, okay. I just want to make it clear, like, these things are different. And I am getting this from NBC News, according to the story. Okay. She testified the alleged attack came 3 months after her husband discovered that she'd been having an emotional affair with a coworker. They'd gone to counseling, she said, and appeared to make progress in rebuilding the trust she said she had broken. Okay. So not good. Very bad. Okay, she shouldn't have done that. And you don't get to murder your wife for having an emotional affair with a coworker. You divorced. See, we could have been on his side. We could have been like, oh my God, bro, that's so fucked up. She cheated on you. I can't believe that, bro. I'm so sorry. But no, you couldn't just get a divorce like a normal person. You had to try to murder her. Now we can't be on your side. Now you're the bad guy.
Feeling a little uneasy being so close to the edge that she just asked her husband, hey, can we move? Can we not do this right now?
Prosecutors alleging that's when Gerhardt grabbed Arielle and tried to push her off the cliff.
He had grabbed me really hard and was moving me. So we kind of wrestled a little bit, and I threw myself onto the ground because there's a lot of trees and shrubs there so that I could hold on.
Prosecutors say that during this wrestling match with Gerhardt on top of Arielle, he starts rummaging through his bag.
She says he suddenly pulls out a syringe.
And he says, hold still. And I see the syringe, and I just kind of like bat it away from us both. I'm saying, like, you can't do this. Everyone knows we're on a hike. They'll know this wasn't an accident, and our kids will be orphans. You'll go to jail. And
Yeah, Chat's right. It sounds like she moved towards the safety of the relationship because she was in a toxic relationship. And again, I know people always bring this up to me. Like, Brittany, do you think it's unethical for an abuse victim to cheat on their abuser? I think it's not good for you to separate your attention to another person versus getting out. I think you are better served on trying to get out of that relationship than starting a new one with a motherfucker who doesn't care about you. Because is this man she was having the affair with, is he coming to her rescue? Is he helping her out? Is she staying with him? No. He's just adding another fucking layer for the abuser to come in and fuck her up over. That's the problem. All this other person is doing is creating a worse circumstance for her. Nobody cares about her. And I'm saying, if she is so battered and confused, then the last thing you want to do to an abuse victim is add another layer of potential harm. Get her out if you love her. Don't drag this married woman. You know she's married and in a bad relationship. Then help her get out. Help her get out. But instead, what these men do is they sit idly by. They watch the women they quote they love get abused by their boyfriends' husbands. I've seen this happen. And then they play the good guy like the white knight. Like, I loved her even though she was in a toxic relationship. I was like, but you did nothing to get her out. You did nothing to help this woman out of her abusive relationship. So she came to you, you knew the circumstance, and you did nothing. Cool. And then what happens? So again, okay, I would rather abuse victims use every tool necessary to make friendships with women, to make friendships with women who will fight for them and advocate for them, than men who will fuck them and send them back to their abuser. Sorry to be crude.
I'll be dead. Like, you have to stop.
She says Gerhard then jumped on top of her, grabbed a rock, and she says that he was bashing her head and her face with this rock at least 10 times. And she's calling for help. She's screaming.
Prosecutors showing in court the rock he allegedly used. The violence, prosecutors say, only stopped because 2 other hikers suddenly came upon the bloody scene.
She said, "Help me, he's trying to kill me." Shortly after, she was crawling towards us.
This is a witness.
Can you describe how she was doing that?
On her stomach and hands and knees.
According to one of the women, Gerhard turned around and walked up the mountain.
Can you describe seeing the defendant's eyes?
It's like a cold, emotionless stare.
The defense.
Look at women coming, you know what I'm saying? Women coming to the rescue.
Tried to poke holes in the testimony of the 2 hikers.
Did you pick the wrong person out of the photo lineup initially?
Yes.
Ms. Buxbaum, you did not see how the incident started, correct?
Correct.
And you did not see who started the incident, correct?
Correct.
And you never saw a vial or a syringe, correct?
Correct.
Authorities say they never found the syringe. After the incident, prosecutors say Gerhard called his teen son, Emil.
He says, "I'm not going to make it back. I tried to kill Ari, but she got away."
According
So here they are trying to doubt the women, trying to doubt the witnesses who in a chaotic moment are trying to save a woman who's getting her head bashed in, only to have a man who openly confessed it to his son. Congratulations.
court documents, he says to him, "I just tried to kill Arielle," and indicates that he's now going to kill himself by jumping off the cliff.
The defendant told Emil that he was turning his phone off so the police couldn't find him.
There becomes this multi-law enforcement search for Gerhard. Not for just a couple minutes or a couple of hours, but for 8 hours.
Authorities
Jesus
finally
Christ.
finding Gerhard walking down the mountain and arresting him while Arielle is badly injured.
Arielle, could you show everybody in the courtroom the scar on your scalp?
Sure. I had a bunch of stitches through my scalp, had a lot of wound care for that, and then I had some treatment for a distal fracture of my thumb.
Authorities describe her condition after this incident as critical and taken to a hospital for treatment.
Shortly after, she not only filed a restraining order to protect herself and her 2 sons, but she also filed for a divorce from Gerhard.
Prior to the March 2025 incident, there was a lot of tension. And what we know from court filings is that Dr. Gerhard Konig had actually accused his wife of having an inappropriate relationship with another colleague.
Arielle testifying Gerhard found some deleted WhatsApp messages and believed she was having an emotional affair with a coworker.
I was apologetic. He was obviously hurt.
According to Arielle, after Gerhard suspects that she's having an affair, he starts trying to control her, both practically and physically, and including sexually.
Did anything change with your sex life with the defendant?
At the time, Gerhard kind of expected to have sex every other day.
In court, Gerhard's defense painting a completely different picture.
This human story can be summarized.
Okay, there's a significant difference in reaction here. When one person finds out they've been cheated on, they become devastated, go to their friends and family, feel deeply betrayed. When another person gets cheated on, he tries to control his wife's body, her sex life, everything she's doing. You're toxic. That's what I'm saying. You can't even be a proper, that sounds wrong. You can't even be a good person, because I think this exposes more or less his character. I have a feeling, he literally tries to murder his wife, so don't even try to play like he was just a nice guy, and then all of a sudden he tried to kill. No nice people turn around one day and just kill people. Okay, unless they're having a serious mental break. This is not this exception. This is, in this context, this is a different exception. I understand there are billions of people with billions of stories, but for the context of the story, I highly doubt he was a perfectly decent person his whole life, and then all of a sudden he just decided to kill his wife, right? Obviously, there was something going on, okay? Okay, and this is not uncommon. So this is why the story is so devastating, and this is why people will try to twist it, right? Yeah, he had a freaking syringe. It was premeditated. He's a doctor. He knows exactly. He made decisions with his medical degree to take advantage of her, right? You know what I mean? So again, her having an inappropriate conversation / whatever you want to call it with a coworker, more or less a cry for help from a victim. Not perfect. She's an imperfect victim. Okay. He is a obvious murderer. So can we please? Okay. All right. Thank you. The whole twisting of this narrative. I know people will say, but what about cheating is abuse? Cheating is abuse. circumstantial context. There is no context that would where hitting her in the head with a rock, trying to syringe her and push her off the cliff is just like, oh, he's just reacting to it's premeditated. He's not in a moment of passion. He didn't just snap. This is premeditated. It's literally, he planned it. He planned a whole day, drove all the way out there, walked with her. It was premeditated. Hello?
In 3 words: unfaithful, unwilling, and untrue.
So the defense is basically saying, look, she doesn't want to be married to Gerhard. She is the one, maybe, that picked the fight on the lookout that day.
At the get-go, the defense between a rock and a hard spot here, because there are witnesses that see their client on top of Arielle beating her in the head with a rock. So what can they do? They're claiming self-defense.
The defense is arguing,
wow,
that she's the one that starts hitting him with the rock.
So why would he have the syringe then? And they're saying their syringe doesn't exist?
And that he reflexively takes the rock from her and hits her back. He claims that he hits her in self-defense, that she started the whole thing.
Medically speaking, from the medical doctors in this case, it's not as bad as it looks. She never loses consciousness, no risk of death from the injuries, stitched up, went home the next day. And it was a rock. He hit her with a rock in response to her hitting him.
Gerhard Konig has been in jail since his arrest. If convicted, he faces life in prison. His 19-year-old son is expected to testify, and Gerhard himself could take the stand as the trial continues.
Okay, so now check this out. So now, thank you for whoever tagged me on TikTok, sent this to me. So the trial is underway. Okay, it's happening right now. This is her, from her testimony. This is the actual court. We're not going to watch the whole video because it's very long, but I want to hear her in her own words explain the situation.
Okay, Arielle, if you can look at the photo and describe maybe what's on the screen as well, what is the text on the photo?
It says, "Don't look down."
Okay, and who is your identification on the photo anywhere?
Yes, up in the upper left-hand corner. It says Arielle Konig.
Okay, and what is Arielle Konig?
That's my name, Ari, short for Arielle.
Is that your Snapchat ID as well?
I'm sure it is.
All right, I'm going to take down State's Exhibit 131, and I'm going to retrieve the exhibit from you. Arielle, why did you say don't look down there?
It's a very steep cliff behind him.
Okay, I want to fast forward in time a little bit to the photos you mentioned later.
Sure.
So did you take any other photos on the way down?
Yes, right at that cliff. When I had come out of the tree and when we had walked to that cliff area, Gerhard said, let's take a selfie with this as the backdrop. So we would be standing with our backs to the cliff, taking a photo.
Before you took that selfie, or before the defendant asked to take that selfie, did you notice anything about the defendant's attention?
Yes, he was very aware of where I was, where my feet were, where he was, and where the trail was. I felt like he was often looking at my feet and just very spatially aware of where I was on the trail.
Did you ever take that selfie?
We did. It wasn't quite as close to the edge as he wanted. I was standing, from that photo, you can see there's a pine tree, and I was holding onto a branch of that because I was just uneasy that close to the edge. And we did take a selfie, but I held onto that tree.
Okay. Do you still have access to that selfie?
I don't.
What happened after you took the selfie while you were holding onto the tree?
I just asked him to move down the trail a little bit so that I could get past without having to go near the cliff.
And then how did the defendant react to that?
He was a little like, okay, and then he moved a few paces away.
Okay. So after the defendant moved down the trail a few paces away, what did you do?
Then I walked to him. So he was then facing me and the cliff, and I walked up to him. And again, we were just, everything was normal. I walked up and just kind of like brushed my hands against his shoulders, like kind of like a little hug.
Okay. As you had your hands against his shoulders, where was the defendant facing?
He was facing the cliff, facing me. My back was to the cliff, and he's facing me at the cliff.
And how far behind you was the cliff?
Feet, 10 or less.
Excuse me, I couldn't hear that.
10 or less feet.
All right, so, okay, after this happens, after you get to where the defendant is on the trail, what happened next?
When I walk up to him, then he grabbed me really forcefully by my upper arms, and he said, I'm so sick of this shit. Get back over there. And he starts pushing me back towards the cliff.
While the defendant was grabbing you and pushing you, what did you do?
I was surprised. It felt almost like he was kidding at first, and I was like, what are you doing? But he had grabbed me really hard and was moving me. So we kind of wrestled a little bit, and I threw myself onto the ground because there's a lot of trees and shrubs there so that I could hold on.
As you threw yourself to the ground, how did the defendant respond?
Well, he got on top of me, and he was kind of trying to pull me, and we're wrestling, and he ended up straddling me, so he had his legs on either side, kind of across my waist.
On March 24, 2025, how tall were you?
About 5'6".
And how much did you weigh on that date?
About 145 pounds.
Okay. And on that date, how tall was the defendant?
About 5'10".
And how much did he weigh?
Maybe 165 pounds.
Okay, and then you said straddling. Can you describe what that looked like for us?
Sure.
Just for context, I do have it at 1.2, so it might look like they're talking really fast to one another, but I have the speed sped up because that's how we listen to stuff on this channel.
I'm laying on my back, and he's on top of me with kind of like one leg on either side across my waist, facing me.
And also, please pay attention to the fact that she said everything seemed kind of normal, because it really does. Like, there is a level of normal people expect in their relationships and in their social situations that doesn't necessarily like make you think something's going to happen. Everything is obvious in hindsight, right? That's the way they say hindsight is 20/20. It's like, oh, everything is obvious after the fact, but when you're in it, you really just don't. I mean, who goes on a hike with their husband and thinks he's going to push you over the edge? You know what I mean? You would have to, and maybe some part of her does. I mean, I've certainly like avoided certain kinds of social situations because I'm like, you never know. Like when my girlfriends tell me they're going on hikes with men they just met, I'm like, you're going out into the mountains with a man you just met? Like, I don't like it, but they do it. And it's true that not every man will murder you, but it only takes one. But I am kind of shocked sometimes when my girlfriends tell me, oh yeah, I'm going on a hike with a guy. You're going on a hike? Girl, go to a restaurant where there is witnesses. So, everyone makes decisions. We've all made, but obviously it would be nice if we didn't have to worry about being murdered, especially after you've been married and you've got 2 kids together. So I think that stuff is really important to say out loud, that it would seem like a normal day probably. She has why would she, you know what I mean? People don't just push their wives off cliffs until they do.
Once the defendant was on top of you, what did he do next?
So he was first trying to pull me, trying to get me closer to the cliff. And again, I could kind of hold on to the roots and stuff that were around us. And then
I think he's trying to make it look like an accident. So, right? He's not trying to make it look like a scuffle. He's trying to make it look like she fell, which actually is not as uncommon. Like people pointed out earlier, it's not uncommon for people to try to murder people by making it look like an accident. Oh, we were in the mountains and I didn't know. Oh, we were, we got separated in the forest and it's like, sure, making it look like an accident, but that's why we have professionals who investigate this to say, was this on purpose or was this an accident? Because with the right amount of evidence, it can be proven that it was quite intentional.
He had a backpack that he was hiking with. And he, like I said, he's on top of me, and he had a syringe in his hand. And he says, hold still. And I see the syringe, and I just kind of like bat it away from us both.
Okay. When you first saw that syringe in his hand, did you actually see where it came from?
I didn't see where it came from, no.
All right, and you said you were able to bat it. Do you know where it went?
It just fell on the ground sort of near us. It would have been to my left, because I could still kind of see it in my periphery. So I was trying to make sure it wasn't going to get grabbed again.
And then could you describe what you remember about the syringe, what it looked like?
Sure. It was a clear syringe with a blue piece, maybe blue plunger, I guess is what that's called.
Once you were able to bat the syringe away onto the ground, what did the defendant do next?
So he had taken his backpack off, and it was on the ground to his left, so kind of to the right side of my body here. And he was digging in that with his left hand, and then kind of holding me down with his right hand. And I'm screaming and I'm saying, what are you doing? Get off me. And he's saying like, you're done. I'm so sick of your, so done with you. And I'm trying to kind of protect myself and get out of there. But also he's gripping his hand closed really hard. And there's a vial in his hand. So I was trying to pry his hand open so I could grab that vial out.
Okay. Which hand did you see the vial in?
The vial was in his right hand.
Okay. And did you actually get to see the entire vial?
No.
Okay. What part of it did you see?
I could see pieces of it because I'm trying to like pry his fingers off of it.
So he's a doctor, right? So we assume he got some sort of medical chemical or some sort of something from his, look, this is probably his first kill. This is probably his first time thinking about killing somebody. It's premeditated. It's intentional. He's not going to be a pro at it, right? He probably came up with all kinds of stupid ideas about ways to kill my wife. Ridiculous, okay? So push her off the cliff and make it look like an accident. Grab a syringe that's not traceable, right? We just covered stories earlier in stream about this, how men were drugging their wives and filming them and raping them. And they would use chemicals that would put their wives to sleep but wouldn't be traceable after 12 hours. There are so many things, right? They said he was an anesthesiologist. Yes. Yeah, I think so. So anyways, he was trying to put her to sleep probably. And he thought maybe it wouldn't be detectable in her system afterwards, right? So that's the problem. But he's not going to be perfect at it. The point is, though, it's premeditated, obviously. So him trying to say she was having an affair and she tried to push me off the cliff. Push you off the cliff for what? So she could go live with her coworker who she's having an emotional affair with? Anesthesiologist. Thank you, chat. Thank you, chat. Anesthesiologist. Thank you. So it's like, okay, to do what? And then I get it. People do murder people to be with their affair partner. That we've seen that with men countless times. Okay. The question is, then why do you have the syringe? If she's the murderer, why do you have the syringe?
So that I can grab it and throw it.
Were you able to open his hand that was holding the vial?
Not enough to get the vial away.
All right, you mentioned the defendant was saying some things. Can you...
Oh, I'm sorry. And of course, why did you call your son and then confess you were going to kill her?
Tell us what you remember he said as he was on top of you?
Yeah, I'm screaming and he's telling me, shut up, nobody's going to hear you out here, nobody's coming to save you. And I'm saying, like, you can't do this. Everyone knows we're on a hike. They'll know this wasn't an accident and our kids will be orphans. You'll go to jail and I'll be dead. Like, you have to stop. And again, he's saying, like, you're done. We're done with you. We don't need you anymore. You're done. You're done.
Did telling the defendant any of these things that you told him, did that get him to stop?
No, not really. And I had said, like, your mom just sent me a really beautiful text for my birthday. Like, your family will be upset if I die. He can't face our kids after this, you know. And he did seem at that point to, like, calm down a little bit. Like, it seemed like he took a deep breath and calmed down. And so I had this moment where I was like, okay, this is the break. Like, I can get out. And then he just starts hitting me with a rock.
I'm going to backtrack for just a moment, Arielle. As the defendant was on top of you, as the defendant was saying things, and as you were saying things back, were you trying to defend yourself physically at all?
Yes, and I'm screaming and trying to defend myself physically. So I think I bit his forearm at one point, trying to, that would have been his right forearm. And then I was also squeezing his testicles with so I had my right hand trying to squeeze his testicles to get him to get off of me.
Yeah.
Okay, and was that, when you were doing those things, was that before or after he calmed down, as you just said?
That was before he calmed down.
Okay. So what happened, you said, after the defendant calmed down?
Oh, well, it felt like he calmed down because it looked like he took a deep breath. And again, I was screaming, and so he's covering my mouth and stuff, and then we had this moment of, like, it seems like he takes a deep breath, and then he just starts hitting my face and my head with a rock.
Did you see where the defendant got the rock from?
I didn't see where he got it from, but, like, spatially, he was, like, reaching up around this area of my head, so my impression...
She closes her eyes to recall. I do that too. I close my eyes so I can remember and so I don't get distracted. But it's like you close your eyes and you can see it again almost. Like you can feel it. And it's almost like you're recalling. And I think that really, for me, reassures me that she's recalling the memory and that it feels more authentic. And it feels very like, okay, this feels like if I was telling this story, that's probably how I would be too. And I don't mean to project onto her, but, you know, obviously with him slandering her and saying like, oh, she's lying. She actually, I tried to defend myself. Like, you tried to defend yourself? Like, are you sure about that? You know what I mean? Like, it's nice to see, it's devastating to see her in this position, but it's also nice to feel reassured as she tells the story, like, whoa, this is like an amazing, and look at the way they're trying to slander her. Look at these defense lawyers. They're disgusting. Like, you are disgusting fucking people. That's why people don't like you fucking lawyers. Because a good defense lawyer against, you know, saving an innocent person, beautiful. How dare you defend the guilty? with so much passion and slander an innocent woman. Like, how disgusting is that?
Was that there was a rock on the ground near my head that he was able to grab.
Were you just holding your hand around the left side of your head?
Yes, sorry.
When the defendant was hitting you with the rock, did you say anything?
I just started screaming because in my mind, he was trying to knock me unconscious to get to be able to drag me over the edge. So I just was screaming then as much as I could.
Did the defendant respond to what you were screaming?
No.
Did anybody other than the defendant respond to what you were screaming?
Yes. So I'm screaming, and I do think I was saying something like, "Please help. He's trying to kill me." You know, I'm hoping somebody can kind of hear that. And I, at some point, hear a woman's voice say, "We're here. We're calling 911.
Wow.
We're here. We're calling 911."
Wow.
So after you hear that woman's voice.
Oh, the way she must have felt in that moment. Oh, I could cry at the relief she must have felt in that moment. Or the way those women felt like, oh my God, like, what are the chances you come across someone getting murdered? You know what I mean? Like, because you must feel like, I know this sounds really ridiculous, but there almost must feel like devastating to scream out for help. You almost feel like no one's coming, and I'm sure a predator would try to make you feel almost stupid for it. Like, you're so, like, no one's going to hear you out here. And you almost feel like, oh my God. And then to have someone answer your call, your plea for help. Oh my God. It must have just felt, I just can't even imagine what she must have felt. Wow.
What happens?
He just kind of like, Gerhardt just kind of froze and knelt back away from me. And I just crawled away really slowly. And again, he seemed just like frozen. And then I was yelling to the voices I heard, "Are you still there? Are you still there? Don't leave me."
Wait, so so he came, I'm sorry, I misunderstood the story a little bit. I thought he accomplished it by pushing her off the cliff. Is he saying, so he never got a chance to push her off the cliff. He hit her, the witnesses came and then they helped her. I don't know why I thought she survived a fall. But it's amazing that she survived the hitting in the head with a rock. Guys, could you even imagine getting your head bashed in by a rock? How devastating, like how horrible. I couldn't even imagine. Okay, but Chad said she did fall to the ground. Wait, so she did fall to the ground? Okay, we'll keep listening because he attempted to push her. On the cliff, not off. Okay, so he pushed because I thought, let me just make sure. Allegedly pushed her towards a cliff, tried to inject her with a syringe, struck her repeatedly with a lava rock, and then she was found. Okay, and then they came to find him. Okay, because I thought she was literally pushed. Maybe he pushed her off something else. He pushed her to the ground. Okay, she never fell off the cliff. Okay.
And I couldn't hear anybody calling anything back, so I just kept crab walking away, like I'm on my butt, kind of like scooting, and I just kept going and got to like a lower part of the trail. The women were down there, and one of them was on the phone with emergency personnel.
As you crab walked away, did the defendant follow you?
No.
Also crazy that he says he's innocent, but he avoided police for 8 hours. So here he goes, his defense team goes, actually, she's the one who tried to kill him to cover up an affair or whatever their attempt of explanation is. But then he disappeared for 8 hours until the cops found him. He didn't stay and say, call 911. I'm actually innocent. So he didn't actually, do you know what I'm saying?
So as you crowd.
Okay, Chad says, yeah, there were a lot of trees and shrubs, so she held on, so he couldn't get her over the edge. So he tried, but he tried. He couldn't get her over the edge, so he thought, let me get her with the syringe, knock her out, and then I'll push her over. Got it. Okay.
Crab walked away. Did you see what the defendant did?
He just, like I said, he seemed frozen. He just kind of stood up and was staring. And then I didn't see where he went after that. He didn't follow me when I went down to those women.
Yeah, Chet said, damn, she fought hard. She must have had to fight with every fiber of her being because statistically, he just will be bigger and stronger than her. And the way she described the differences in height and everything, he was literally bigger and heavier than her. I mean, she must have used every ounce of strength she had left to keep herself from getting pushed over. Whoa.
What happened when you got to the two women?
When I got to them, we were just trying to figure out how to get out of there as quickly as we could. And so they tried to stand me up to see if we could walk down with me kind of draped over them to get through, but I couldn't stand. Excuse me.
Wow.
That was just like an unstable So one of them went behind me and was kind of sweeping to make sure he wasn't coming after us, visually scanning to make sure he wasn't coming after us. And then the other one was in front, leading us. And one of the women had like a large metal water bottle, and she had that in her hand, and she was like, "This is the only weapon I have." But and then I crab walked, or kind of scooted down the whole trail with them on kind of either part to try to keep us safe.
After this happened, where was your phone?
My phone and my bag were still with Gerhardt.
Still with the defendant?
Yes.
So does that include your purse that you mentioned?
Yes.
Okay. Arielle, I'm going to take a step back.
Okay.
There's something you mentioned earlier about a hard season. Were you having any marital problems before this happened on March 24th, 2025?
Yes, we were.
What happened to start those problems?
Sure. In December, the year prior, Gerhardt had gone through he logged into my WhatsApp account and saw that I was deleting text messages between a coworker and I.
No. I want to know what happened before. What led to you talking to that coworker? Because, listen, okay, an emotional affair, depending on your marriage, can be as simple as saying, "I'm having problems in my marriage right now." To some people, that's cheating, confiding in an opposite sex coworker or a sex coworker that you are attracted to. Could be an emotional affair. But this, again, I don't know if they're over exaggerating the text messages or if she was like confiding in somebody who then she started to feel something for. Because like if you're confiding in a bestie, it's not an affair. It's inappropriate, maybe, unless it's abuse, and then it's like a safety. But it's the fact that she had feelings. So when did those feelings occur? How did it happen? Men and women can be friends. I have a lot of questions. And I don't like that when he asked if you have marital problems, it started with this affair, because affairs don't come out of the blue. So what happened prior that led you to confiding or talking to a coworker?
He got upset about that.
When in December did this happen?
This was the beginning of December.
And when you say logged into your WhatsApp account, how does that work? Or what is it, first of all, what is a WhatsApp account?
WhatsApp is a text messaging app.
Okay. And you described the defendant logging in. Do you know how that works?
Actually not. I don't know how that worked.
Did the defendant ever confront you about this?
Yes, he did. My impression is that he knew about it for a few days and then confronted me about it a little bit later.
Okay. And how did that confrontation happen?
Well, we were on vacation, and he came into our hotel room and asked for my cell phone, and then came back in a little bit later and told me, I see what's on WhatsApp. And he was really angry, very upset.
Okay, you say angry, upset. Can you describe what he said to you?
Yeah, called me a lying bitch, you're a whore. How could you do this sort of thing?
For the record, when I found out I was cheated on, I cried. I sunk down to the floor and I said, I don't understand. I didn't call him names. I didn't say horrible things to him. I was devastated. And then he cried in my arms and begged me to forgive him and said he was just so lonely. I really think how you respond matters. I don't think it always matters because I think things happen, but I do think it's interesting that he called her a whore and all these words. Instead of feeling devastated that he was betrayed, he degraded her in the language. So I would just say that I know you won't always be perfect. I know you can get cheated on, but it's interesting because I had my brother do something similar where my brother called me one time and he goes, the girl I've been talking to, this like bitch, she cheated on me. And I was like, isn't she a teenager? And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, is this the girl who's a teenager that you're not even sure is 18 that I told you to double check her ID, that girl? And he goes, listen, she's a bitch, okay? And I was like, no. He goes, well, you've been cheated on. You should know. And I said, no, do not compare me getting cheated on by my appropriately aged partner to you talking to a girl I told you weren't even sure how old she was, okay? The way you talk about people matters. The fact that my brother moved right to she's a bitch and a whore, the fact that this man moved to she's a bitch and a whore, okay? I'm telling you right now, there's a pattern of misogynistic belief that men think they own women, that men want to get hurt after they've hurt women. And I'm telling you, there's a pattern. Okay. I don't talk to this brother, for the record, but this brother, and I knew right away, I was like, the fact that you respond by calling these women degrading names when I want to talk to you tells me that you think right? That these women are evil and you did no wrong, even though you know these women are underage and or questionably aged. Even if they're legal, they're questionably aged. You're 30. What are you doing? Okay? So you know you're wrong. This man, right? The way you respond to an affair, not devastated, but you know what I'm saying? To degrade your wife, like, I get it. You've been hurt. But you see how you respond? Yeah, Chet says they're mad for more than just cheating. And they're mad because they feel like he is mad at her because, you know what I'm saying? He's like, oh my God. Like, the worst I think I ever called my ex was like trash. Like, oh my God, you're trash. I can't believe you did that. You're fucking trash. You know what I mean? I think that's the most I ever called him. You're welcome. Okay? If I said anything else in anger, I couldn't have imagined it being worse than that. Like, there really was nothing to call him except trash. But a bitch and a whore, these are very specific words, you know?
Who were you messaging with on WhatsApp that caused this confrontation?
It was a coworker from Terra Power. His name is Jeff Miller.
Okay, and you said Jeff Miller also works at Terra Power?
That's right.
Is Terra Power on Maui?
No.
Okay, where is Terra Power located?
It's headquartered in Bellevue, Washington, outside of...
Oh, Bellevue, shout out. No, you're right, Chad. This below them, women can hurt them. How dare her? Yes, exactly. How dare she? Versus, how could you? Our life, you threw away our life together. I don't get it. Why didn't you just break up with me? My reaction was like, I don't get it. Why didn't you just break up with me? You didn't have to be with me. You could have just dumped me. Instead of, how could you? You know, it's like you embarrassed me. You brought shame. You know, it's like very like them. It's about them, but it's also about, it's something different. It's a different feeling, you know? Like, he didn't give her permission to leave. He said, oh, you can't divorce me. I'm going to kill you. That's the difference. Let's not forget this man tried to murder her. Instead of just saying, like, he would rather murder his wife than get divorced. Excuse me? Pourquoi?
Seattle.
Do you work in person or do you work remote?
I work remotely.
So who is Jeffrey Miller to you?
He's a coworker and a friend.
Did you ever have sex with Jeffrey Miller?
No.
In these WhatsApp messages, did you ever send or receive sexual photos with Jeffrey Miller?
No.
Did you discuss sex at all in the messages?
No.
In these messages...
So she was confiding in a friend. I don't even know how this is an affair. Isn't this just talking to one of your friends about your marriage? This is why I say, girls, talk to, like, okay, like, I need to know why this is even called an affair. I want to know what she said. I'm not saying she didn't, but I'm saying so far, it sounds like she's confiding in a friend.
Did you flirt with Jeffrey Miller?
Yes, some of them are flirty in nature.
Okay, so some of them were flirty. I'm hearing, I'm listening.
And when the defendant confronted you in December about these messages, how did you...
What was the flirting? What was the flirting? Was it like, oh my God, saw your Instagram pic, cutie? What was the flirting? If they weren't sexual and you weren't sharing sexual messages, what was the flirtatious? What was that even? What is that?
React.
I was apologetic. You know, he was obviously hurt, and I was really committed to my marriage and my husband, and so we agreed to work through it and try to, you know, kind of rebuild, because I had definitely broken his trust and could tell he was hurt.
As a couple, how did you and the defendant characterize these WhatsApp messages?
It felt like an affair to him, so that's we called it an emotional affair.
It felt like an affair to her husband, so that's what we called it. I need to see these text messages. See, if this was a YouTube video, I'd get the receipts.
Did you say emotional affair?
Emotional affair is the word, yeah.
After the defendant confronted you and called you a lying bitch and a whore, did the defendant make any demands about your job?
A little bit. I wasn't supposed to be like in any kind of one-on-one work situation with Jeff. No emails or anything like that.
All right. Can you describe a little bit about what that was like, or what the defendant asked you to do?
Yeah, well, it was really just anytime there was going to be a meeting, there had to be another person there as well. And then Gerhard would kind of go through my stuff at the end of the day to see, you know, what I was doing. So if I was sending emails or who I was meeting with.
Bro.
After this happened in December, did anything change with your sex life with the defendant?
At the time, Gerhard kind of expected to have sex every other day. And when this happened, he made it clear that...
With peace and love, no. That's rape. I think that's coerced sex. In my opinion, that is coercive. You cannot demand a sex schedule. Absolutely not. This woman is raped. In my opinion. Absolutely not. I'm getting sick to my stomach. This woman is so, at least by the footage, so transparently honest, wanting to make it work with her husband. There's not even sex in these messages. Light flirting? Are we for real right now? And he is now demanding a sex schedule as punishment for her having nice messages with a coworker. I'm going to need to see these messages. I'm going to have to see how bad these messages were, because it sounds like a attempt for control. Girls, I'm not having sex every other day because you demand it. That's disgusting.
If I refuse to have...
Objection. Can we approach?
Oh, ow. Ew. What is this sound? Okay, what? Now we can't hear it because, of course, they're talking. Hold on. Okay, let's see. Pausing. I'm forwarding a little bit. I don't know what this means. Okay, they're coming back.
Ms. Konig's last answer stricken from the record.
Stricken from the record?
How often did the defendant demand to have sex in December after this emotional affair came out?
Every other day.
When did you actually last have sex with the defendant?
December 24th that year.
December 24th of 2024.
That's right.
So between December 24th, 2024 and March 24th, 2025, did you have sex with the defendant?
No.
In those months, December through March, did you and the defendant work on your relationship?
We did a lot of work on our relationship. Yeah, we both were doing individual and couples therapy.
And can you describe a little bit about, what that was like?
Yeah, I mean, we were trying to work on a lot of different things in our marriage, in addition to the deleted text messages, which again, I could tell Gerhard was deeply hurt by. So I'm working on rebuilding trust.
Listen. I could tell he was really hurt by them, so I did my best to go to couples counseling. Him, the alleged victim, you whore and you bitch. Let me hit you in the face with a rock because my attempt to push you over a cliff didn't work, and my attempt to hit you with a syringe also didn't work.
In terms of non-sexual intimacy, did anything change in that with regards to your relationship with the defendant after this all came out in December?
A little bit, yes. And in that, Gerhard really wanted a lot of touch, physical touch. So there was a lot of cuddling and stuff like that. And any refusal of that would be, kind of me withdrawing.
Okay, so coercive. He's not having sex with her, but he's coercing physical intimacy. Again, it's hard. You feel, again, there were other solutions to this, but ultimately, nothing that happened is a reason for murder. So I think what's hard with these conversations is somebody will come in and say, oh, but Brittany, maybe if she did everything correct, maybe if everyone did everything correct, if she never had this affair, he never would have killed her. Pause. You can't kill people because they cheat on you. You can't kill people because they abuse you. We understand that self-defense exists, and I'm here for it, but this is why you can't kill your abusers. You're not the punisher. Okay? If he was truly just a victim and not also a victim who murders, he wouldn't have tried to murder her. He would have divorced her like a normal fucking person, co-parented their 2 kids, and moved on with his fucking life. But instead, he used a embarrassing, shameful moment in her life, weaponized it against her, and used it. $10 says he's been cheating. I would bet $1 million, trillion, billion this man has cheated on her. Worse. Guaranteed. And he's taking it out on her. Because what reasonable, sane person reacts with so much venom? Ain't no way this man is innocent. He has been cheating on her. I bet it's physical. I bet it's all types of things. And he is mad because what led up to her confiding in a coworker? What caused it? I'm telling you right now, he is cheating on her, and or I'm allowed to speculate this man tried to murder her. So all these people are like, okay, but what if he tried to murder her, girls? Murder. Instead of divorce her. She wasn't keeping him captive. She wasn't raping him. She wasn't He was the one who was doing all these horrible things to her, and then he tried to kill her.
When you didn't want to cuddle, what types of things would the defendant talk to you about?
Then that would be like, a lot of questions. How could you do this to us? Kind of bring up the WhatsApp messages back to the surface.
And then when were these, or how long was this issue ongoing, I guess?
December was really hard. January, it seemed like things were getting a little bit easier. Things were getting a little bit better. By February, we had gone on a family vacation with our little kids and had a really fun time. And so it seemed like by February, we were starting to kind of turn a little bit of a corner.
Wow.
And were you and the defendant still talking in January?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to approach now with States Exhibit 130 and 117 for your decision with the defense. May I approach, Your Honor? You may.
Thank you.
Arielle, I handed you 2 exhibits now, 130 and 117. Without showing them to the jury, could you look at what they are, and when you're done, look up? Okay, let's start with the one with the sticker on the back that says 130. What is that?
This is a text message exchange between Gerhardt and I.
Okay. Oh,
And
this
what
is the
month
husband.
did that
Garrett is the husband, yeah?
exchange take place?
Okay.
This would have been in January.
Right. Who does this exhibit fairly and accurately depict the text message exchange between yourself and the defendant in January 2025?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
Okay. At this point, the state moves exhibit 130 into evidence.
Mr. Otake. No objection. It has been marked for identification of States Exhibit 130 received into evidence.
I'm going to now publish and put up on the screen what's been marked as States 130.
Okay, let's see.
Okay. And then can you describe the context of this message?
My case is finally done, but this dude is delirious in PACU, P-A-C-U. Next case is the girl who had a rock fall on her at a waterfall. Oh my gosh, how old? What is this?
Yeah, so Gerhardt would have been at work, just kind of texting me an update. So he's in the blue, but I was at home.
And what was Gerhardt's work?
Gerhardt was an anesthesiologist at Maui.
Do you know where he primarily did his work?
At the hospital.
Okay. We're going to take States Exhibit 130 down. Could you now take a look at the one marked States Exhibit 117? Okay, what is that?
This is an email that Gerhardt sent me, also in January.
Okay. And what is the email about?
It's about life insurance.
And is this a true and accurate copy of the email the defendant sent you? And sorry, what date was the email sent?
The date is January 21st, 2025.
Is this a true and accurate copy of the email the defendant sent you on January 21st, 2025?
To my knowledge, yes.
Did he take out a life insurance plan on her? Shut up.
At this point, the state moves Exhibit 117 into evidence.
Mr. Otake. No objection. And what has been marked for identification as States Exhibit 117 is received into evidence.
Chat says PACU, PACU says post anesthesia care unit. I don't know why I can't say that word. Wait, so this is always the pattern. I don't know why these people don't watch murder shows before they murder. You can't take out a life insurance plan before you murder somebody. Everybody knows this. This is what I'm saying. I'm so shocked at how bad people are at murdering people. Not that you should do it, and I don't condone it. Okay?
I'm going to publish States Exhibit 117. Arielle, what was the defendant asking you to do in this email?
He wanted me to reach out to an insurance representative from AAA to apply for a life insurance policy.
Whoa, are you serious, bro? And then he put it in the email?
At the time that you saw this email, did you think anything of it?
No.
We're going to take Exhibit 117 down from the screen right now.
And by the way, this is why people get caught. This is what I'm saying. Like, this is the kind of stuff that I think is just, like, you're not very smart. But also, I'm glad you're not so smart so people could catch you. Because this woman doesn't deserve this. What would have happened if those two women didn't come by? What a crazy story. I'm so shocked. Wow.
And I'm going to retrieve both exhibits from you, Arielle.
Thank you.
reading to court. Okay, so you said you didn't think anything of the defendant asking you to increase your life insurance at the time. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. In your relationship with the defendant, who handled matters such as insurance?
Honestly, I wouldn't have thought about it either. My partner and I we haven't taken a life insurance plan out. Oops. But we always talk about it. I was like, we should get one of those, you know, in case something happens. Like, we always talk about it, but it's just like, it's so far from us. Like, it's just not, you know, we don't have kids, but also we should just for each other. But then we never do it, you know? We will eventually. We'll get around to it. It's paperwork, girl. Don't stress me out. But I wouldn't think anything because eventually, yeah, we should do this. But it's interesting if they've ever talked about it before, if they've ever had plans to do it before, if it came out of the blue. Because at least in my partnership, it wouldn't be out of the blue. We've been talking about doing it. We just haven't done it. But we've been talking about it. So it wouldn't be that weird to eventually do it. But I wonder if they ever talked about it. I wonder if she was like, you know what I'm saying?
Art did most of the financial stuff.
The financial stuff.
Chad says, bro, at this point, he needs to just admit it. Like, why are you wasting everyone's time? Literally, why are you wasting my time right now, girl? Just say you did it, bro, so we can move on. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is ridiculous that we're even being put through this.
Even more than insurance?
Yeah, I mean, did taxes and, you know, tracking everything.
Okay. Can you describe what financial things the defendant actually took care of?
Sure. He made sure did all of the utility payments and bill payments. And then in this case, looked at our life insurance and how much we would need if either of us were to pass away to keep our kids in our house.
Who set the budget?
We didn't really have an established budget.
I'm going to move forward in time just a little bit, Arielle, to February 2025.
Okay.
How did your relationship with the defendant progress into February?
Yeah, like I said, January, was better than December. February is better than January in terms of, stability and kind of seeming like things being hopeful for the future. In February, we did a family vacation with our little boys and saw Gerhardt's family. And we had a really fun time. So it felt like, I said, just felt hopeful for the future.
Were these WhatsApp messages an issue in your relationship at all in February?
I not that I recall, and if so, it was a small thing, yeah.
And how did your relationship progress into March 2025?
Same, again, I would have said it in early March. March was better than February. It seemed like we were both really trying. We certainly had things to work through, but it seemed like we were both putting in a lot of effort. And we had committed to kind of giving our kids 2 years of us, like, really working on things, and it felt like we were both really leaning into that.
Okay, 2 questions from chat. Chat says, I believe there's always signs. Some people just choose to ignore them for whatever reason. Another chat says, I think if people really outlined all the red flags for bad partners, I feel like the smallest percentage of people, especially men, would be in relationships. Okay, 2 things. The world is a toxic, horrible fucking place, and 99% of people suck. And I have been one of those people at some times. I am not, and I haven't been one of those people to this degree. The worst way I've ever been toxic is like not going to therapy to regulate myself and to realize my childhood was horrible, right? To deconstruct my conservative beliefs, all of that stuff, right? But there are 2 types of toxicity. The toxicity because you're raised in an environment where you don't do better, but you're generally like a good person. I am a good fucking person. This man is not a good fucking person. I have never in my life thought I should murder somebody. Not for real, bro. Not for real. This man made a plan, okay? I do not think it is reasonable to be like, oh yeah, I've made a plan. I've had a plan. Leo Skeppy made a plan. He literally made a plan. He talked to coworkers allegedly to murder his ex-boyfriend. What are we talking about? I don't care how angry you are at a person. Literally contemplating murder is a completely different brain / relationship with existence than somebody fucking else who was toxic because she stayed in a bad relationship, bro. Okay? So yes, if we did all of the work to look at every red flag a person ever had, most of us would not date, which is why I say you should date for your high compatibility partner. It's always why I say if you really date seriously for a high compatibility partnership, you will not only aim to be a better person, but you will not put up with bullshit first date. I'm telling you, first, second, third, fourth date, you will not put up with the bullshit. And the bullshit will be people saying, oh, you won't put up the bullshit. And then people will say, oh, you're too picky. Oh, what's the big deal? So he was mean to waitstaff. So he didn't tip. So he was a little angry. It's like, absolutely not. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying, like, look, it is not always obvious. like I said, hindsight is 20/20, right? And chat, great point. Therapists, professionals miss it in people. So you can't sit there and say like people just ignore it. Sometimes they don't know what to look for. We do not raise people to know what to look for. If anything, we raise people to ignore the signs. We literally encourage people to ignore the signs. That's why people are confused. So be very careful with this idea that like people just choose to ignore it. People don't choose to ignore it. They are taught to doubt themselves because, oh, they're overthinking it. Oh, you're nagging. Oh, you're just like, you're making something small into big. Okay? So again, peace and love. I don't think people necessarily miss it. This is why I hope my work, if anything, it's not you missing it. It's you letting you know that that is a red flag. I know you don't think it's a red flag because society keeps telling you it's not. I'll give you permission to see it as a red flag. It's a red flag. Example, when I was young, there was a conservative radio host, racist lady, named Dr. Laura. And Dr. Laura, I've even seen her live. I bought her book. I went to one of her live talks. This is aging me incredibly. So when I was younger, I even called into Dr. Laura. Anyways, Dr. Laura, racist lady, we found out later, she got canceled. I was shocked. I was listening to it live. She said the N-word 3 times. It was crazy. Hard R. It was crazy. It was crazy. Okay, that's not even the worst part. The part about relationships, because maybe that is the worst part. That's pretty bad. But this woman called in one time. This was always her go-to answer for any woman who ever called in. But this woman called in one time and said, my husband, he keeps throwing his dirty socks on the floor. And I just cannot get him to put them in the hamper. And Dr. Laura, can you guess what her suggestion was, ladies? This was the bullshit conservative women were taught. Are you ready? Are you fucking ready for this? Sit down. She said, if he won't put his socks in the hamper, give him a reason to put his socks in the hamper. Give him a little nuzzle. Kiss him. Maybe kiss him all over. Maybe give him a little, if the socks go in the hamper, maybe we can get into bed. Give him an incentive to do the fucking basics. Make your man feel sexy about doing chores, basically. The fuck? The fuck? Okay? What? And this is what I'm saying. How can women even start to recognize red flags when we're told to have sex when we see a red flag? Just think about that. And because she was a doctor, because she had she was a doctor, Laura, because she was had a background, people trusted her. Well, she must know, you know what I mean? Like, she must know what she's talking about. No, right? Absolutely not. Jess said giving him a treat for good behavior. Yeah, like treats. You know what treat I give my partner? A thank you. That's your treat. Thank you. I love you. Thank you. That's it. That when you do something nice, I thank my partner like an adult, which you should do. Oh, thank you, baby. Thank you for doing dishes. I appreciate it. Okay, you get a thank you because that's nice. That's a nice gesture. I love you. Thank you so much. I'm not going to trick my partner into doing dishes by having sex with them. You're going to do dishes because that's your job. And we're adults and we got to eat off clean plates. But thank you, because thank you goes a long way. Thank you can really save a marriage. Okay? Thank you can really save a marriage. It can really keep dignity in a friendship. It can really make even your friendships really solid, guys. So thank your friends, right? But I'm not going to make out with my friend every time they, I don't know, pick up their socks off my floor. You know what I mean? I'm not going to make out with people. It's just a silly idea, okay? What a transactional weirdness, okay? Also, maybe don't marry somebody who can't put their socks in a hamper. You know what I'm saying? Maybe don't marry somebody who can't get their laundry into a hamper. Okay? Thank you. Crazy. Absolutely insane. Thank you. So, yes, maybe in hindsight, the red flags are obvious, but in a world where we tell women these aren't red flags, you're just nagging, what do you expect people to do? That's why I say we need to give women permission, men permission, they, them's permission to break up with people. They're just like, I'm not feeling it. I don't know why I'm not feeling it. Good enough for me, girl. You're not feeling it. Next. You know what I'm saying? Next. You don't have to feel it. You don't have to force yourself to feel it.
And this birthday trip in March, at the end of March, who planned that trip again?
Gerhard planned the trip.
And How did the trip go before you took the hike on March 24th?
The trip was going well. We came out the day before in the morning, and we went to a spa, and we did like a long couple spa thing, a couple hours long. Did a nice lunch. We walked around and shopped and had a nice dinner. It felt, normal. We were having fun together, relaxed.
Now, Chad is right on this. You said, I feel like there's a lot of shame around divorce, that people like him would rather kill their partners than divorce. And this is why we have to stop shaming divorce. As much as we don't want to believe it, we are incredibly susceptible to peer pressure, no matter how old we are. And yes, as long as you shame people for getting a divorce, some people will rationalize, I'd rather kill my spouse because at least I'll get the empathy from my community than divorce. Is this an excuse? Absolutely not. But it is an explanation. And this is why I say it's the community's fault. The community is responsible for how they guilt and shame people. We know, psychologically speaking, people kill themselves out of shame, and they kill others out of shame. And I'm saying, if that shame didn't exist, why do we have shame around divorce? Because of religion and patriarchy.
You mentioned the spa thing. Is that something that you and the defendant talked about before you did it?
Yes.
Okay. How far in advance did you know you guys were going to the spa?
Weeks or less, 1 to 2 weeks, I would estimate.
Did you and the defendant talk about the Polypuka hike specifically before you did it?
No, not really. Maybe the night before.
Did you research it together?
I did not know.
So did you look at any web pages about the hike before you went on it?
No, I didn't.
Here, I'm going to jump forward in time now to after March 24th, or after the incident on March 24th. After this happened, did you receive any medical treatment?
I did, yep. I was taken by ambulance to the hospital where I was treated for severe complex scalp lacerations. They did some imaging and stuff.
How long did you stay at the hospital?
I was in the hospital for 1 night.
So you got out of the hospital then March 25th?
In the evening of the 25th, yes.
And where did you go once you got out of the hospital?
To my house in Maui.
Can you say that one more time?
To my house in Maui, sorry.
And is that the 19 Pu'uehu Place address that you mentioned?
That's correct, yes.
When you got back to Maui, did you find anything relevant in your house to what happened?
Yes. A few days later, I found Gerhardt's work bag in our closet.
Okay. And what did you find that was relevant about the work bag?
I just unzipped it and I could see syringes and medication were in there.
How did you react to finding the bag of medical supplies?
I was surprised. I called an attorney and then got in touch with the police to have them come get it, just in case it was relevant.
Did the police eventually come and collect the bag?
They did, yes. 2 evidence specialists came to take it.
And between the time that you saw the medical supplies in the defendant's work bag to the time that the police came to collect them from your house, did you tamper with, alter, substitute, or destroy any of the items in that bag?
No.
And could you describe the bag for us, just the physical bag?
Sure, it's a black backpack, but it has like a 1 shoulder strap. It's not a full backpack.
Other than the bag, did the police recover anything else from your house on Maui?
They did. They also took his laptop computer.
Where was the defendant's laptop before the police recovered it?
It was on his desk at our house.
Do you know the login information for that laptop?
I do not know.
Do you have like a computer account on that laptop?
No.
From the time that you got back to your house on Maui to the time that the police recovered that laptop, did you do anything at all with the laptop?
No.
Now, you talked about your treatment on Oahu so far. Did you have any sort of medical treatment after you got back to Maui?
I did. I had a lot of wound care for, I had a bunch of stitches through my scalp. Had a lot of wound care for that, and then I had some treatment.
Actually, great point from Chad, too. He probably stole those drugs from the facility he worked at. There's no other reason for him to have them. I wonder how the facility is, if they have maybe camera evidence of him taking it, or maybe some, they must document how much medical items come in, so they must have noticed some were missing. I wonder how much of that is going to play a role in all of this. It's got to, right?
For a distal fracture of my thumb.
Were you able to work after this happened?
No, I was out of work full-time for maybe 4 weeks, something like that. And then I was on light duty for a few weeks after that. And then ongoing physical therapy for vertigo and for just kind of fatigue and being able to sit at the computer and I work on my computer screen all day. So I did physical therapy to kind of strengthen the ability to do that.
How long before you were fully recovered, just in terms of able to work a normal work day?
Maybe between 2 and 3 months.
Wow. Yeah. Damn.
Do you have any visible long-term effects from the injuries from March 24th, 2025?
Yes, I have scarring on my scalp and my face.
And Arielle, could you show everybody in the courtroom the scar on your scalp?
Sure.
And I want the record to reflect the witness is just pulled her bangs up on the left side of her head to display a scar.
Yes.
Arielle, how do you normally cover that scar?
Until...
Objection irrelevant.
What?
Sustained.
Okay, girl. Sorry, we wanted to know her makeup routine. He said not relevant. I don't know. I was kind of interested in how she ends up doing it because there's a lot of shame that comes in wounds. You know, there's a lot of shames that come in like evidence that I've been abused. And so it actually, I think, could be very relevant to the psychology of the victim, that she has to live every day with a wound that's apparent on her face, that she might have to answer questions about from people who might insensitively ask her about the time her husband tried to fucking kill her. Okay, let's do this because I did not plan to watch this whole video, but now I kind of want to. I also want to see him on the stand, and I don't know when that's going to be posted. Should we pause here and come back tomorrow and keep watching? Because I think now we're invested. I think I'm a little invested now, and I kind of want to know, and I want to see him on the stand, and I want to hear from her. I want to hear from him. So I think we should maybe do that. I think maybe we should come back tomorrow. Okay, I've got a timestamp. I'm going to timestamp this for myself and keep it. I didn't intend to watch this whole thing. And thank you to the person who sent this to me and brought it to my attention, because we did review this story a few months back. But this is just a reminder, and please keep it in mind, that hindsight is 20/20. You won't always see it coming. But if my work and the work of so many people, especially abuse victims who are speaking out, can make you pause during a first, second, third, fourth date, that makes you realize, wait a second, what's happening? Okay, why am I uncomfortable with this person? Regardless of gender, regardless of anything else, you should not feel like you're walking on eggshells in a relationship. You should not feel scared for your life. You should not have constant doubt. You should not be going to bed tired and angry and exhausted and crying. Okay, life is hard, but marriage isn't. Life is hard, but relationships shouldn't be. Okay, listen, I know we go through things are complicated. We have childhoods and backgrounds and cultures and all this stuff. So maybe this message means different things to you at different stages of your life, but ultimately you deserve to have a healthy relationship. They do exist and they are real, and they start with you. You deserve first and foremost to have a healthy relationship with yourself and have a wonderful, fabulous life as a single person. And if you should meet that person that you love and you would like to have a life with, it should be a healthy relationship because you deserve to have one. Do not let anybody, especially this patriarchal society, convince you that there's no such thing and marriage is hard and everybody struggles. Okay? Absolutely not. A myth of patriarchy to keep women in bad relationships. A myth of patriarchy to teach men that they deserve to also stay in bad relationships because real men don't get divorced. Real men don't stand up for themselves. Neither men nor women deserve, non-binary people included, none of us deserve to be in toxic relationships. We deserve to be in healthy ones. Okay? Life is hard, marriage isn't. Period. The end.